Hello and welcome to SportsPro AI.
Hello and welcome to the SportsPro Podcast. I'm in a shirt and jacket standing inside a massive venue, which can only mean we're at a SportsPro event. This time it's SportsPro AI, which is taking place over 2 days at London Stadium. I'm Ed Dixon, SportsPro's Deputy Editor, and joining me for this episode is your usual lineup of Steve McCaskill, Josh Sim and Sam Carp, who'll be breaking down all the action. So what is SportsPro AI? Well, after a sold-out inaugural event in 2024, it's back to unite the sports ecosystem and dive into how AI is transforming performance, fan experience and the business of sport. It's where the innovators shaping the future of smarter sport come to connect, challenge and discover what's next. This year, attendees range from elite teams to emerging startups, with executives from the likes of the IOC, the Premier League, Adobe, Google and Microsoft among the big names walking through the door, and we got to speak to some of them. So we were joined by Alejandro Marino Madrid, the IOC's head of AI. He was on stage to discuss the organisation's strategy for artificial intelligence, and I was able to grab some time with him afterwards to find out more about how the IOC plans to realise the technology's full potential. Alejandro Marino Madrid, Head of Artificial Intelligence at the International Olympic Committee. Welcome to SportsPro AI.
Thank you so much, Ed. It's a pleasure to be here.
How do you balance innovation with the tradition and values of the Olympic Games?
That's a fantastic question, Ed. We don't want to choose. So we are very proud of our history, and we are also very looking forward to the future. So we don't want to choose between past or the future. Actually, one initiative we had last year for Paris 2024 was colorizing the archives of Paris 1924. So the fans last year could see in full color high quality videos that were filmed 100 years ago. This is a way of using modern technologies to connect us with our past. We are very proud of our traditions and we are still looking forward to the future. I believe in other industries or in other organizations, they may have a challenge to decide what AI will change, what not. For us, the 100 meters finals is going to be the best runners of the world, men or women, competing against each other. It's not going to be a machine, it's not going to be an AI. AI has to be around that event, how to make the event better for the fans, how to make the organization better for the athletes, for broadcasters. This is the way we are aspiring to keep our tradition and our essence neat while still focusing on the future.
Thanks, Ed. Speaking of being at the scene of past Olympic glories, we are gathered at SportsPro AI, which is being held at London's Olympic Stadium. I'm joined by Sam and Steve here. Guys, have you found SportsPro AI so far?
It's been very informative. It's good to hear from some of the leading figures in the space, from some of the biggest properties in world sport, which shows you just how seriously everyone's taking this subject. I've learned a few things, and it's just been good to hear the state of progress in the industry.
Yeah, I've had a lovely couple of days. Good to be back at the London Stadium so soon after Tariq Mitchell's wonderfully placed right-footed volley against West Ham at the weekend. Perhaps the most iconic sporting moment to happen in this stadium since the Olympics.
Important caveat there.
Yes, I thought I'd add that in. But yeah, it's been good. As Steve said, lots of good insights shared from, especially during his panel yesterday with the Premier League. We've had WRC today, hearing from IBM and a little bit as well. So yeah, it's been good.
And speaking of Palace taking a front foot approach on the weekend, the IOC have taken a front foot approach to AI. Steve,
most natural segue.
Yeah, absolutely. Steve, do you mind sort of sharing your thoughts on sort of their approach to AI and digital innovation, and speaking to the challenges they spoke about in terms of marrying tradition with innovation?
Yeah, so I think the fact the IOC have a dedicated AI officer is quite noteworthy in itself. But the IOC, it's trying to position itself at the forefront of future topics within sport. We've seen that in terms of how it's approaching events, how it's including new sports at the Olympics, its relationship with esports, and AI forms part of that. It wants to be seen as a leader for sports AI, essentially, and it's identified in its agenda several areas that it's going to focus on, things like protecting athletes, talent identification, event organisation. So it's trying to establish first mover advantage, make sure it's relevant in a topic that's going to affect sport at all levels and all areas in the years to come. It may not be as dramatic in the short term as some think, but you look at the way AI is affecting sport or impacting sport we've heard the last couple of days. The IOC just wants to have a place, that conversation, establish leadership, not just for its member associations and the international federations, but I think even wider than that. It just wants to be as relevant, as influential as possible.
Yeah, and Sam, you were there at Paris 2024. Did you notice signs of AI innovation being used by the IOC at those games?
The thing about AI is you don't always notice when it's being used. That's probably the beauty of it, isn't it? Probably the less you notice it, the better.
It's like a referee.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, but yeah, I think if there's one organisation that wants to make sure it's operating as efficiently as possible, it probably is the IOC, given the scrutiny that is always on the cost of operating the games. Not only the financial cost, but also I guess the environmental cost of hosting the Olympics now. So that's so it's only natural really that they're trying to figure out ways to use AI both operationally and also from a kind of engagement perspective with fans as well. In Paris, there were quite a few ways that they were using it in, I guess kind of initially after Steve mentioned the AI agenda, which I think was just before Paris 2024 they unveiled that, so it's probably a little bit early for too many use cases, but I think they'd used it for monitoring online in terms of abuse of athletes. There was also some stuff from using Alibaba's tech to sort of surface content from the Olympic library, chat service for athletes on the Athlete 365 platform as well. Automatic highlights generation, I think, was another one that they did at Paris 2024. So a few things there. I think what's interesting was that Intel actually helped support with quite a few of those tools and innovations that they did roll out. Obviously, Intel is no longer part of the IOC top program. Alibaba is, and I think Deloitte also advises a little bit on how they use AI also. So it'll be interesting to see if kind of any other companies from that tech space step into the spot vacated by Intel, and also whether the IOC just kind of chooses to work with other companies in that space on a pure vendor level. I think their working group that they formed as part of that AI agenda did include some individuals from companies or who had been linked to companies that don't have an official relationship with the IOC, so they're clearly kind of open to collaborating there.
Yeah, if we look from a games perspective, the other thing I wanted to highlight was the use of digital twins as well, in terms of using intelligent, data-driven recreations of venues to plan everything from camera positions and routes, fan movement, and what Sam was saying about the sustainability and the efficiency of games, the games moving forward. That's going to be a big thing they're going to promote. Moving to LA in a few years' time, I don't think anyone doubts the ability to. Of the commercial potential for those games, given where it is, but there's talk of car-free games for at least some people visiting. I think that's going to be something that will be interesting to see how they use that. As you say, Deloitte coming on board, it'll be interesting to see how they implement AI and how they build on the work that's been done. Yeah,
I think interesting. Alejandro Moreno Madrid in that interview there, not in that clip, but in the wider interview that will be available, he did reference that there'll be some new things for Milan next year, but he kind of did say that LA is that moment when you'll really be able to see the AI. So there you go, Josh. That's maybe when we'll be able to notice it a little bit more fully and see the fruits of the IOC's labour in that space.
Yeah, when I think about the Olympics, it's just the scale of their broadcast and tech operations, and that's where I guess AI can help sort of come in and optimize all those operations, Steve.
Absolutely. I mean, the tech operation Olympics is really hard. The scale of it is, there's nothing else really like it in sport in terms of managing all those different venues, non-competition facilities, all those member associations, international federations, and if you can find a way to simplify that, make it easier to manage. Obviously, technology is becoming more complicated all the time. Security events are increasingly integral to preparation. And again, come back to sustainability. The fewer people that you have to send halfway and around the world, the more technology you can reuse from games to games, the more you can simulate rather than through visits, the more it's going to achieve those ambitions, and I think perhaps lead to the long-term sustainability and relevance of the Olympics in a changing sporting world.
Yeah, well, there's plenty to look forward to in terms of what the IOC do next in the AI space, and plenty more to come on this podcast episode. But now, back to you, Ed.
Thanks, guys. Now, SportsPro AI may be done and dusted, but you don't have long to wait for our next event. The SportsPro Media Summit is taking place from the 18th to 19th November in Madrid, and here's what you've got to look forward to.
Sports media is evolving, and so are we. In 2025, streaming is just one part of the story. The SportsPro Media Summit will unite the whole ecosystem under one roof to explore the latest trends and challenges in sports media. Experience world-class speakers and content, meaningful networking, and endless opportunities, from deep dive workshops to our coveted media award ceremony, and so much more. Explore the hottest topics, from streaming and OTT through to monetization and social media. Built on over a decade of industry-defining insights, this has become the go-to platform for shaping what's next in sports media. From streaming to strategy, the full landscape redefined. This is the SportsPro Media Summit. Find out more by going to media.sportspro.com.
I'm Manny, the Multimedia Director here at SportsPro Media, and last time Chris took us to his neck of the woods at Woolwich, but right now, as you can see, we're in the iconic West Ham Stadium in the heart of the East End, which just so happens to be my hometown, which I'm hoping gives me the good luck that I need to join the record holder club for this edition of the SportsBizBlitz, which is a 30-second challenge where I rattle off as many sports stories as I can. No fluff, all news. The current personal best stands at 8, but I'm feeling pretty confident. I think I can beat that. Let's try. No, I'm feeling confident. I can do it.
You got this, you got this.
We're kicking things off with WWE WrestleMania 43, which heads to Saudi Arabia in 2027, while the CellGP family grows as Sweden joins as expansion fees soar. Online, Netflix hits 41.4 million viewers for the Canelo Crawford global broadcast, while League One Plus hits 1 million subscribers in the first month. Deals coming as AC Milan and Inter agrees to buy San Siro for the new stadium project. Mercury 13 acquires majority stakes in WSL 2's Bristol City. MLB scraps the 2026 London Series amid scheduling conflicts, while the Women's Euro 2026 delivers an economic boost of 220 million for Switzerland. Lastly, ATP appoints Enna Polet as their new CEO, replacing Massimo Cavelli. Did I do it? Did I beat the record? Yeah. I did! Are you kidding me? 9? I just genuinely don't have anything to say. I knew I was going to do it. What can I say, guys? Come for the reigning champ. Sucks to be you, Chris. Just give up now, I think. Well, I feel really good about myself now, so I think let's wrap the show there. I think we're done. This is the SportsBizBlitz. Somebody come and try and challenge me, see if they can beat me. Anyway, I'm off. See you later.
Welcome back to the SportsPro Podcast. Now, one of the other highlights from SportsPro AI this year was the Premier League's Director of Digital Media and Audience Development, Alexandra Willis, who discussed how the top flight is using AI for everything from personalised fan experiences to improving operational efficiency. Alex was on stage with our very own Steve McCaskill, and this is some of what she had to say.
What is your digital operation? Who's it serve? What's your priority when it comes to having these relationships with fans and the products that you create?
The Premier League has had a digital strategy for some years, and in fact, Fantasy Premier League is the number one proof point of that. We're on track for more than 12 million people playing the game this season, which will be a record. So thank you to all of you for your support. But that's really been the only thing that the Premier League has sort of had the mandate to do. And yet there is this global audience out there with this fascination for the product that is the Premier League week in, week out. And that audience is changing just as the world is changing. The things that are bringing them in are very different from the tribal domestic football fandom that we're all very used to in this country. And so the operation that we have set up is designed to meet the need of those fans. So we look after the content, the channels, the products and the fan marketing to go and deliver for those fans in as many ways as we possibly can.
There's been a renewed focus on technology in recent months and years, I guess, but behind the scenes, and real step changes how it does things. There's been a launch of the new app, even an expansion of fantasy-related content, on television, on podcasts, and just the way, I guess, it's reported on. Why is it so important to build this out and build these direct relationships with fans? Why is it required an adjustment into how you engage with the market? Very successful in the broadcast sphere, as we know, through third parties, but why now, and why is it so important?
So 3 years ago, we agreed with the clubs that there was this audience out there who were engaging with the Premier League predominantly through third-party channels. And those third-party channels are very important and will continue to be very important. But those audiences weren't making their way to spend time with clubs, and they weren't making their way to spend time with broadcasters or with our partners. And we said, we actually think that the league can play the role of being this promotional and marketing vehicle to go and engage with those fans, spend time learning about them, and ultimately convert them either into watching live and spending more time, but also into deepening their association or relationship with a club and a number of clubs. And sort of at the heart of this is the insight that fans are becoming much more fluid than they ever used to be. It's very common for people to follow one or more clubs. In fact, the average number of clubs that a fan follows is 5, and also following multiple players. And that is sort of in line with the general trend. Apparently, we're in the age of the individual to be fascinated with celebrities and sort of personalities, heroes, villains, and so on and so forth. So, having agreed this with the clubs, we said, well, we need a new product to go and deliver for these fans that isn't fantasy, that leverages fantasy but goes beyond it. And we need the right technology to make it happen. And we're at this amazing moment in time where this technology is much more readily available than it used to be. And being able to create a platform that is going to grow and going to change because technology is changing so dramatically around us. We were very lucky. We didn't have a lot of technical debt. We didn't have things we had to sort of rip up and start again. And so that's what we set out to do, address fragmentation, deliver for a more casual fan base, and begin to deliver a proper personalised service at scale.
So fresh from the Premier League panel with Microsoft and Adobe, we have Steve has rejoined us. Steve, what were your big takeaways from moderating that panel session?
Well, I think it's fair to say that the Premier League hasn't always been at the forefront of, I'd say, technology in terms of the way, digital in terms of other leagues are doing it, because it hasn't had to, because it's been a commercial juggernaut. It's just has so much in terms of broadcast revenue. It's been able to just stay ahead that way. It's not had to do anything like, for example, La Liga has a whole tech division that it's spun off. The Bundesliga also has tech operations. The Premier League's just been able to sit back and watch the money come in, but it knows that it has to adjust its approach moving forward. It's just the world of sport is changing. The way people are consuming sport is changing, and I think the appointment of Alexandra Willis, who was on the panel, is a reflection of that. We know her from the work she did at Wimbledon, where she was instrumental to one of the most comprehensive and, I'd say, successful sports technology partnerships there's ever been in recent years. And she said to me, in previous interviews and also on stage, that they have to do more than fantasy football. They have this fantasy Premier League, which is universally popular around the world. It's a major source of digital engagement, and they want to do more with fantasy Premier League across what build on that engagement and the popularity, but also offer more than that. And I think that's what they're doing with the refreshed application. They're building in social style features into there and other forms of content, and they just want to increase digital engagement. And crucially, and I think it's something that they're very keen to stress, is to complement those broadcast partnerships and build them up, not take away from them, because they want to protect those revenue streams, and they want their partners to get as much out of it as possible, because they still want people to bid for their rights, and that's been a hugely successful model in the UK and abroad. And there was just a bit about how they sort out those partners. These are two of the biggest names in the world of technology, and if most people probably use a Microsoft product every single day, if they know or not, whether it's cloud infrastructure, whether it's productivity apps, Adobe similarly. I know it's not doesn't own the PDF file, but it's probably it's very associated with PDF and creative software, Photoshop, everything, even the term Photoshop. So high power partnerships, really high profile brand associations, and there was some interesting statistics in terms of engagement. I think Sam, you wrote about this, that they've seen a 25% increase in engagement. They have 12 million fantasy players. They're at the start of these partnerships, but they're already seeing some dividends even at an early stage.
Yeah, that was interesting. It's always hot. It's always you always don't want to read too much into stats, especially when you're sort of starting from maybe a lower base, and with the Premier League, given that it was kind of, as you said, the extent of their kind of digital effort so far had been Fantasy Premier League, even though it was a very successful kind of project. But yeah, these new tools that they've integrated, you kind of expect engagement to go up on the back of that, certainly from the curiosity standpoint. people going into that app and exploring the Premier League companion, for example, and those creator tools that Adobe have integrated. So I guess it was also quite interesting to hear that panel in particular talk a little bit about how those tools are going to evolve moving forward, because that Microsoft partnership, for example, is 5 years long. We're only a few months into that. So I think another panelist, Simon Crownshaw, he spoke about the fact that it was almost just a key milestone just getting those products live. He said that the speed of innovation of deployment was kind of unlike anything that Microsoft has done before in sport, which when they've got partnerships with the NFL and NBA says a lot. So there's certainly a lot more that they'll be able to do in terms of kind of localization, open prompts for that Premier League companion feature, for example. So it'll be interesting to kind of see how that evolves moving forward. But I think just generally that whole point, Steve, about the Premier League taking a little bit more ownership over its relationship with the fan, as you said, it's been able to kind of just rely on its global following so far, but how much does it actually know about those 1.7 billion followers that it claims to have around the world? It certainly makes sense for it to kind of own that relationship a little bit more, so that they're spending more time with the league, spending more time with its partners, and then hopefully spending more time with its clubs as well, which is something that Alex spoke about.
Yeah, I think there's other initiatives that have been done in recent years. For example, if you play EA Sports FC, you can set your favourite team and you can be added to their list if you wish. That's another way it's been leaning into its partners to help build up that idea of the fan and better serve them with content, make sure they're getting what they want from it, because it's a very competitive landscape, and it's not just other football leagues, it's not just other sports, other forms of entertainment as well. And they just recognise that now's the time to do it. They've seen a lot of other initiatives by other properties that have perhaps needed to do it sooner, and now it's got the backing of these two major tech companies that have they have technology, they have expertise. It's going to be it's difficult to think of two bigger companies that could work with. I know it's worked with Oracle in the past on things like archive and data and analytics, but it's not been quite as comprehensive as this relationship. Just one other thing I wanted to just point out on the Microsoft side, it's the first time that Copilot has been integrated into a third-party service in such a way, which is remarkable. Given that I don't know if I think we all of us use Windows. It feels like Copilot's everywhere. It seems odd to think that it's just been on first-party platforms until now.
Yeah.
Well, Sam, you got a chance to speak to Simon Crownshaw from Microsoft fresh off that panel. So do you mind sharing with us sort of what insights he gave you post the panel discussion?
We've already spoken a little bit about the Premier League there, so I picked out a clip from that interview, which was steered a little bit away from that topic in particular. But we spoke about kind of why Microsoft invests in sport, why it's such an effective platform for a company as big as that to showcase its products and services, but also how it evaluates partnerships that come across its desk basically. So let's hear from Simon now. Do you feel there are branding benefits for you as Microsoft as well, and kind of exposure benefits alongside those kind of that opportunity to integrate your technology? Is it kind of, when you do look at opportunities, is it primarily on the kind of technology side and the integration side?
Like when you're primarily known as an enterprise tech company, for example, right? Whether you're using Office or Word or whatever else it might be, yes, that's probably true. I think we do far more in sports and other parts of the other industries than we're probably given credit for. Mm-hmm. I think there's no question that it helps us, build a relationship with fans in terms of what we're bringing. Look at the Premier League companion app that we're working with them on, right? Sometimes that might be the first interaction people have ever had with a Copilot, for example, from Microsoft, and it helps people understand what we do and how we do it. So there's no question there's branding benefits for sure. And I think there's just a connection that we're building with fans and so on. But also enterprise users too, and seeing our technology used in different ways, which I think is really valuable.
Yeah, definitely. And when you kind of go out to identify partners that you want to work with, I mean, I'm sure there's an element of pitches arriving on your desk as well, but when you sort of look at those opportunities, how do you weigh them up? Is it about, is it looking at rights holders that kind of match, I guess, the global scale of Microsoft? Is there a certain existing technological infrastructure that has to be there? What do you kind of look at when you look at them?
It's a balancing act, to be perfectly honest. I think everyone wants to work with the Premier League, and true, right? It's one of the biggest leagues in the world, and I think that makes a lot of sense. But you're right, we do get a lot of requests to come. Can you work with us, right? And see what we think. The NFL partnership is certainly a unique partnership in terms of how we work with the sideline technology and so on. The NBA was about customer insights and experiences and doing their very first fan app. The Premier League one, for example, is obviously taking AI first in terms of how do we bring that AI technology to the fan, but also not on the front end, also on the back end to optimize those operations. And when we look at those different options, I think it's a real balancing act between what's going to be the right value that we're going to bring, how do we innovate with them, does it tell a unique story that we haven't told anywhere else and what we're trying to do, what does it mean for the end customer, what does it mean for the data and the services that we can bring, for example. So sometimes it's not always an easy conversation, right? I'll say even the Premier League one, for example, was one that took a little bit of work to figure out how we wanted to approach it. Where do we fit in from a partnership perspective? Who are even the other partners that might have even been involved, right? What does that look like? And do we tell the right story that resonates with where we want to go, right? And so as the official AI and cloud partner for the Premier League, right, that was something that really resonated to us. And sometimes that's not available elsewhere, right? And that's what we want to focus on, right? It tells a story that also kind of connects to what Microsoft's core vision is to some degree.
So that was Sam, you speaking to Simon there, a short clip from a longer interview that will be available on SportsPro's digital platforms in the near future. I guess it's an interesting perspective, really, him sharing about sort of where the benefits Microsoft gets away from the sort of providing its technology and learning more. It's the branding and the exposure they get from being in partnership with some of the biggest sporting leagues in the world.
Yeah, which is kind of, you wouldn't have thought that Microsoft needs much exposure, to be honest, as one of the tech leaders globally. But he made a fair point that a lot of the products that they have, like Copilot, as Steve referenced before, this might be their sort of first exposure to that tool and that product. So there's that kind of benefit for them. And then beyond that, obviously, it's kind of it's a reason that a lot of tech companies get into sport, right? It's a very high-profile opportunity to showcase their technology. It's, if we're able to deliver this for, an organisation as complex and fast-moving as something like an NFL or an NBA or a Premier League, then we can do it for more or less anyone as well. So, it's clear kind of from that conversation why Microsoft has been involved in sport for such a long time, because I think that's worth pointing out, in that it's one of the longest standing kind of partners of sport from that sort of tech space, I'd say, especially at a time now when you're probably seeing the encroachment of more tech companies who want to showcase their products, want to sort of showcase the AI tools that they're developing through sport as well. So it's quite important for it to retain that presence, and I think it's also just interesting to note the kind of how varied some of those deals are. If you look at the NFL, the NBA, and now the Premier League, the diversity of the sort of solutions that they're able to provide is pretty vast, to be honest. Some of it's obviously fan experiences, a lot of it's back-end operations, in some cases it's kind of about getting customer insights and things like that. So it's a really sort of diverse portfolio from that perspective.
Steve, can you speak to sort of, you've covered Microsoft sport dealings for a bit, not just the Premier League ones, but the partnership it has with the NFL and the NBA, for example, and it really has taken a different approach to each partnership in terms of providing each league with a different solution for the unique problems they may have.
Yeah, so if you look at the NFL one, there are some similarities to the Premier League in terms of the range of products and services it's supplying. The NFL, for example, there's a bit more of a focus on performance, and as we talk about having this platform, Microsoft, one of the biggest names in technology, but it's undergone quite a transformation in the last 10 years, and it wants to showcase everything it can do, and perhaps it's not in the minds of some people in the same way. And the NFL, it's used for its sideline viewing system, which helps referees make decisions. It also helps players and coaches see formations and things like that. But there's obviously a marketing element to it as well, and I think some of the commentators had to be told that not to mention that the Microsoft Surface tablet has an iPad-like device. So there's obviously that, and about 10 years ago, so when they were doing product placement of films, they would say just Bing it instead of Google it, which didn't quite catch on in the same way. But the sport is a really good way of illustrating everything at play, because it's interesting, it resonates with people. Beyond the performance side of the NFL, teams are using the productivity tools. There's, it's got CRM services which have been used by the properties. The NBA, they basically provided the foundation for the application that they built to great success a couple of years ago. So it's about the breadth of partnerships, it's putting them in the public consciousness, and of course it's going to help these massive leagues already become even bigger. And it's definitely there's a certain profile of sport they want to partner with. Their game, in terms of they're game changers, so to speak. The Premier League is. There are very few global equivalents. The NBA is probably one as well. The NFL is unsurpassed in the US in terms of popularity. So it's a good fit for everyone. There's a lot of technology involved. There's a lot of marketing involved. There's a lot of it's just a really high profile use case. And I've always said that sport is sometimes a really good way of making even the most boring topics seem interesting, and I wouldn't say it's that. It is obviously more interesting than that.
That's what I should have said to Simon.
that was the pitch for my job. But it's high profile, it's exciting, and it's putting at the forefront of this digital sports revolution, this AI-led revolution that we're currently experiencing.
Yeah, and it's really interesting that with the Premier League, they've gone with the official AI and cloud partner, and with those other leagues, they've taken on different inventory spaces, which I guess speaks to how sort of selective they are in terms of who they partner with. Simon sort of mentioned that to you.
Yeah, he did reference that. He said, that designation isn't always available elsewhere, especially now, I think, when you've got leagues having multiple technology partners. I mean, you look at the NFL, for example, Microsoft does have that sideline exposure, but I'm not sure it I don't think it has the AI designation in the NFL.
Don't believe
I think it's kind of, they're all just listed as sort of official technology partners, and I imagine part of that is because these leagues or rights holders don't really want to cordon off AI as a category necessarily, because they want to be able to leverage AI from multiple partners and not lose out on the marketing benefits and sort of the dollars that they receive from them as well, and sort of make sure that they are able to upsell from that sort of like pure vendor, traditional kind of vendor relationship. So I think that comes into it as well, into their kind of like how they evaluate partnerships also.
Yeah, with every tech company trying to position themselves as an AI leader, you can imagine there might be some competition to have that association, particularly with the biggest properties. And if some of these leagues already have comprehensive multi-technology deals with other companies, it might take a little bit of time for it to unpick that as well, like in terms of getting deals to expire, maybe reposition it in the market. So yeah, I think it is noteworthy.
Well, you can catch the rest of Sam's chat with Simon, as well as a bunch of other interviews we've done at SportsPro AI, on our digital platforms.
So that's a wrap on our SportsPro AI 2025 roundup. Our next event is the SportsPro Media Summit in November, so we hope to see you there. And if you want to find out more about that, head to media.sportspro.com. But for now, thanks for tuning in, and catch you next time.
No.
No, I did.
No.
No.
Don't believe it.
He doesn't accept it.
I'll believe it when I see it.
I tried it once. I beat you, Chris. So, reigning champ.
I'll believe it when I see it.
He wants a VAR check. He wants a VAR check.
I mean, we are in the London Stadium. There is the VAR box right down there.
I think it's giving sore loser, Chris. We can check it.
I think we're going to need to go to the VAR box.
Come for the Queen next time. Come for the Queen. 10 or nothing.
All right. Next time.
Very nice. Or should we end like this?
Fisticuffs.